Welcome to Socialism Seriously. Do you want to hear something about the environment that can actually give you hope? Indigenous people make up 5% of the world's population, but they live on lands that contain 80% of the planet's estimated species. And why is that hopeful? Because it shows how we can prevent our planet from becoming completely uninhabitable in the coming years, if we put as much of it as possible under indigenous people's control. It's not some sort of coincidence that indigenous people just happen to live in places where there's lots of plants and animals. No, there's more species where indigenous people live because they've been at least somewhat successful protecting their ecosystems from capitalist and colonialist invasions. And not just in the past, right now. In the last decade, indigenous resistance to fossil fuel projects has reduced greenhouse gas emissions in the US and Canada by 20% of what it would have been. The demand for land back to indigenous people has not been one of the foundations of socialism. I mean, yes, there's been some socialists who get the importance of indigenous sovereignty, but many haven't, especially in settler colonial countries like the US or Canada. But that's starting to change. In my last video, I talked about how Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels recognized that it was workers that were leading the fight against capitalism, and that strikes and unions could be what they called schools of socialism. Well, let's take a look around at the world today. Who is it that's leading the fights around the world against deforestation, mining projects, and oil pipelines? The fight to defend and restore indigenous sovereignty can become a school for humanity to learn how to restore its relationship with nature. And that means that in the coming years, perhaps the most important task socialists face around the world is building alliances between the working class and indigenous nations. And that's not going to be easy. There's a lot of conflict of interest there. But it's the only possible way we can build a movement that has both the power and the vision to put into being a sustainable world. If you like this video, check out my book, also called Socialism Seriously.